Well, thank you so much, Chair. And as always, everything that I say goes through the Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank the Minister and her folks for being here with us today to talk about this really important issue. The first question that I have is around harmonizing benefits. We have heard from multiple Gulf War veterans that their concerns are legitimately about getting what they deserve and need, and they really want that acknowledgement. We know that, for example, Senator Patterson came in to visit us and talked about harmonizing benefits. We know that in 2019, the Ombudsman actually had a recommendation that talked about harmonizing benefits. And this is something that veterans have brought up to me repeatedly, is this fear and concern about one set of veterans getting one type of benefit and others getting a different one. So I recognize that it was a vote that was done in the House that everybody supported, but I do believe that we've heard enough that harmonizing benefits should be part of the discussion, and I'm wondering, is there any work happening in the department around that?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for the question, Ms. Blaney, and I also wanted to take a moment to congratulate you on your new appointment as PSPC critic. I was happy to see that you're not leaving AVAC because we've done some good work. You've done some really good work, and the women would be very disappointed if you were brought on to another committee. So thank you and congratulations on that, and I look forward to being at your event this evening as well. So just to say that. The harmonization of both acts, I know that this committee has heard this from some witnesses that have come forward, and that being one of them being Senator Patterson. I think both acts are vital in our efforts to support veterans, and both acts are significant. And again, I don't want to review the history behind it all, but I can tell you that when I speak to Veterans Affairs case managers or agents that work with veterans, they tell me that the newest revision of this act has provided them and has provided actually veterans with that many more tools to be able to move on to the next phase of their life. When we talk about the 7 domains of wellness for our veterans, those were areas that were not even addressed with the past pensions that we had. So for us wanting to make sure that veterans are able to gain effective control of their life, being able to move on, that is why that the revision, if you will, of the Veterans Wellbeing Act was done. Because we, again, want to make sure that veterans qualify for the financial, the compensation benefits, but also because so many veterans are exiting the Canadian Armed Forces at a much younger age, we want to make sure that we're setting them up, for success and addressing the barriers that they may face. Things like providing them with mental health counseling and supports, making sure that they have access to vocational training. And I know that you're all familiar with the programs that Veterans Affairs offers, but that is really vital, and we want to make sure that they have access to that.
I only have a few more minutes. So one of the things that I found really startling was a lot of the testimony that we heard about a lack of awareness or acceptance within Veterans Affairs around the Gulf War syndrome. In fact, just a few days ago, we had Mr. Bure and Ms. Richards here with many stacks of their applications, their appeals, and the paperwork was quite daunting. So, my concern is that veterans that served us during that time are having to prove the Gulf War syndrome repeatedly and having to go through an appeal process which delays and delays and delays. And of course, like any community that served together, we see this again and again in veterans as they talk to one another. So it defeats not only the people facing the challenge, but it defeats the people who served before they even put their foot in the front door. So I'm just wondering, is there any work that's actually being done to address this issue so that when people come forward with these types of serious health issues that are very well documented and researched in other countries, but maybe not so much in Canada, to stop that? So, it goes back to what I've spoken about before, which is we really need trauma-informed services. People who have gone through serious trauma while they're serving this country need people on the other end of the phone that understand that trauma can impact people in a very particular way, and having to prove and reprove your illness again and again, and having to feel that you're fighting for your basic rights is not what we want to see. So I'm just wondering, is there any work that is actually happening around acknowledging these illnesses and making the duty less burdensome on the veterans who serve us?
So 3 points that I'll Make very quickly, and I know that we're short for time here. But when
minute and a half, so.
first and foremost, trauma-informed training for our staff, that was a recommendation that was made in the last study that you've done, and I am absolutely committed to making sure that our staff at Veterans Affairs Canada receives trauma-informed training, specifically when working, with our veteran population. Number two, when it comes to the issue of the Gulf War syndrome, any veteran who has been injured as a result of a service-related matter, we want them. And if anyone that is listening to us today, I want to tell them to contact Veterans Affairs Canada, because if there is a need, we want to be there to help them. I am told, and that was just recently through the department, that when a veteran comes forward with a Gulf War syndrome issue, if you will, if that their claim has been denied, that claim is going to be sent to a health professional within Veterans Affairs Canada, because we want that file to be reviewed, and perhaps one of my colleagues can elaborate a bit on that afterwards, because we want to make sure that the file is going to be reviewed in its totality, making sure that we haven't missed anything. And finally, you talked about the delay. That, however, will create a delay in the processing of the file, because we are, putting another step in that. And that process is done automatic when it comes to individuals, that are coming forward with those types of issues or illnesses. So I don't know if Paul or Mitch want to elaborate.
I'm sorry, we will come back because already the time is up. So